What's up, you guys? Welcome to Toughen Up with Des. This episode is my very first episode. We are going to talk about my last fight because of a head kick TKO. It was my first knockout in my entire fight career, and I want to talk about what that felt like and what I did to prepare for this fight and how it's applicable in every single day life. If you're trying to crush it at all of your goals, if you're trying to knock out things out of the park in life and work and parenting and in home, a lot of fighting I have learned to apply to my real life in order to be successful. I would consider this the most successful fight that I have ever had, and it was crazy, the evolution going through the fight camp leading up to the fight, and this episode I'm going to talk about all of that with you. First and foremost, let's just talk about the fight itself. Was absolutely crazy. When I knocked this girl out, my body was not mine at the time. Like, she hit the canvas, and in my brain I was like, holy shit. Honestly, I look back at the pictures and I look back at everything, and my internal looked nothing like what was on my face. I actually looked like a crazy person when I knocked this girl out, and I went across the ring and I did this crazy warrior yelling at everybody. It was absolutely crazy. Gilbert Melendez stood up and was in shock. There was a viral reel that went around showing him being like, oh my god. The foot slap was so loud. It sounded, I'm now deeming this the Filipino foot slap. I think we need to key this term for all my Filipinos out there. It is now the Filipino foot slap. That's what we're gonna call it. That's what we've all been calling it, my friends and everybody close to me. I Filipino slapped that shit out of there. It was crazy, y'all. So now that we've calmed down a little bit, I wanna talk about all of the things leading up to the fight, because there's so many things that I have learned from fighting that I apply to my everyday life. And if you are trying to TKO things in your life, then I'm going to share with you the things and evolutions that I've gone through as a fighter that I'm now applying to my every single day life in order to be successful. I am a mom, I am a daughter, I am a sister, I am all of these things, a business owner. I'm running 2 businesses right now, and when I'm feeling like I'm facing adversity or I'm solving problems or dealing with challenges, a lot of times I take a step back and be like, how would I take what I learned from fighting to give me this TKO experience in real life? So that's some of the things that we are going to talk about in this episode. The mentality, the nutrition, the mindset, everything that incorporates being successful as a fighter and how it is applicable to real life. Because what happened on May 18th was crazy. I've never experienced something so gratifying while inflicting pain on someone. So obviously it's a different lane, but the accomplishment for myself as an athlete, to my peers, to all of my training partners at my gym, and most importantly to my son that was sitting out there in the crowd, was literally an experience I will never forget in my life. Now I know that I'm capable, and I'm sure you're capable too. You just haven't had the experience to prove to yourself that you are capable. And so it's really, really crazy, the synopsis between fighting and between real life. But I do want to take this episode and talk about some of the things that I went through throughout the fight and the evolutions, and share that story with you guys, because I think it's really impactful and it has a lot of lessons intertwined in between all of that in the 8 weeks leading up to this fight that brought me to where I was. And so I'm going to share that with you guys today on this first episode. I know you guys love watching me for fighting. There's so much more to me than just fighting, and I'm going to start pouring that into you guys. And I hope that some point at some time in any of my videos, I can have an impact on you, have an impact on your life, and possibly motivate you to go beyond the barriers that you have for yourself and defy those odds, anything that may be against you. I hope to encourage you in my storytelling, and today we are going to talk about this viral head kick knockout. Let's just take a step back and talk about the promotion that I fought on. So the promotion that I fought on is brand new. I fought on the very first card. It was called Fight Night at the Tech, and Fight Night at the Tech was led by Scott Coker. If you guys don't know the history of mixed martial arts and the people that are involved, I'm here to give you a little little bit of background on that. So, Strikeforce. A lot of people know that Strikeforce was the original UFC. Basically, Scott Coker, and you guys can Google this guy. Scott Coker was the original owner of Strikeforce. So when UFC started becoming more popular, Scott sold Strikeforce to the UFC. Now, at the time, Gilbert Melendez, Ronda Rousey, so many legends started off with Strikeforce, and some would argue that some of the icons that we see today in the UFC originated from Strikeforce and that upbringing of mixed martial arts, which happened here in the Bay Area in California. So time goes on. He sells Strikeforce to UFC, but I do know that Scott Coker then soon became the president of Bellator. Bellator is another huge stage for mixed martial arts. They recently just got bought by PFL, which is a Viacom company. It's a public company, another mixed martial arts form. But Scott decided in that transition, he was literally going to just step away. He didn't want any more involvement. And as Scott is getting older, he's like wanting to have more purpose in his life, which is really interesting when I had the conversation with him that he wanted to bring it back to the Bay Area and start another promotion, just like he did so many years ago with Strikeforce, with Bay Area talent, with all the people that we have in California in general. There's so many amazing martial artists in California. It's actually spectacular. So Scott had this idea to come back, pour some of his funding into this new promotion, Fight Night at the Tech, and it was at the Sharks CU Arena in San Jose. So this is a big venue, you guys. This is where our Sharks from the San Jose hockey team go and play and practice. I think it's like 5,000 people that fit inside of this arena. It's pretty big. And so for me, I've fought on some pretty big stages. I think the biggest stages that I fought on were Lion Fight. I fought 3 times for Lion Fight, and it was also really crazy fighting in front of a bunch of people on TV. It really does something to you as an athlete, but I was like uber excited. I was like, ooh, I get another chance to fight on a big stage. It's gonna be huge. There's gonna be a ton of people there. And so I was super excited when I got wind of the news of Scott doing this promotion locally here in the Bay Area. It's been about 7 years since I fought locally. I actually fought for the first time. I fought in San Jose. I think it was 8 Limbs Muay Thai, and Jason Andrade cornered me at that fight, and it was fucking sold out, you guys. Like, I sold so many tickets as an amateur in that local fight. I was like, yes, I get to come back and fight in front of my people. There's been so many people that have asked me, Desiree, when are you fighting that we can go and it's local? And I haven't yet had the chance to do that since I've been a professional. So we went into this fight and I was 1-0. I had my pro debut in September of last year, and I fought a really hard girl. It was not an easy fight. She had a lot of experience. So I felt prepared to take on this next battle and move to the next steps of my fighting career. So basically, Scott Coker starts this promotion, and then on top of it, he's like, I'm gonna travel around the Bay Area and scout talent. Went to the most popular gyms in the Bay, El Nino. He went to our gym, Smash gyms. He went to a ton of different gyms and scouted athletes. Coach is telling me, hey Des, Scott's coming on Saturday. I want you to show up. And I was like, bet. I'll show up. I'll be here, and I'm gonna just do my thing. You know, it was a Saturday. We were sparring. It's usually our most aggressive practice of the week for the team. We literally get there in the morning. I have boxing pads with my boxing coach, Angel. A lot of people run the 3-mile run. We come back, we drill, and then we do 6 to 10 rounds of sparring that day. It can be a really intense day. So he shows up with him and his promotional team. And his one guy, Joe, he's a Filipino, and he was like, yo, Des, I'm a fucking fan. And I was like, yes, this is good. They have eyes on me. I'm super excited, right? So that first happened. And then a couple days later, he basically told my coach, we want Des on the card, and like really excited. So that's where everything started off. And they were like, yes, we'd love to have her. Let's get her an opponent. Let's figure this out. And so some weeks went by. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start training. I've always had this mentality that if I'm training, I'm not really in camp. Camp is can be anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks long, depending on when we get the news of a fight. But I am always training. So I'm like, dude, I've been doing all the things that I need to do. Now it's just about knuckling down on my mentality, knuckling down on my weight, weight, knuckling down on my conditioning, and hard sparring. And this is something that I was telling you guys before, that when we are constantly chipping away at being better and chipping away, we're constantly grinding to get that 1% better every single day, when an opportunity comes knocking at our door, there's less things that you have to worry about on your plate than just the task at hand. Want to know why? Because you've already been dealing with all of the hard shit behind the scenes on a daily basis. I train 5 to 6 days a week, every single week for the last 8 something years, you guys. I don't ever stop trying to get better. My love for the sport never declines. I'm continuously working on my craft so that when an opportunity comes, you guys, I'm ready to take on the most important things that I need to take on, to be prepared, to be professional, etc. And we should translate that in our everyday lives, right? If you had a big meeting, you wouldn't just go and prepare for that meeting the night before. You would be doing all of the things that you need to get you to that very point. I like to say at work, I'm in financial management. And so when I think about the past clients that I've come across, there have been clients that I was not in the capacity or had the qualifications to deal with that client at that time. And so I had to pass, or I wasn't qualified, or the client decided not to work with me because I wasn't prepared, right? It wasn't my time, and I hadn't done the necessary things on the back end to have the knowledge to serve that individual. And the same thing applies with fighting as it is into real life. If we're constantly trying to get better and constantly growing as a human being, studying, or whatever the preparation may be, when the opportunity comes, my friend, you will be fucking ready. You have to do this every single day, no matter what it is, no matter what realm or industry that you work in or that you train in. If you are an athlete, you always have to be progressively getting better. So with that being said, we had 8 weeks to prepare. I was super excited. They started getting the media, they started getting people coming to film at the gym, interviews, things like that. And then you start realizing, oh my gosh, this is real. This is going. But I had no opponent yet. I didn't have an opponent until maybe 5 to 6 weeks out, maybe, I think. And it was a Canadian girl. She has a lot of experience. She also is a kicker. And so I was like, great. A lot of people don't see me on Instagram often kicking. This is not something I'm usually showing my striking, because I would consider myself a striker. That's where my strong points are. However, I am a very dynamic kicker. I'm very fast with my kicks. I'm very fast with my recalls and my checks and everything. And I was like, great, but I love to kick. I'll kick more than I will use my hands sometimes. And the reason I do that is because our legs are longer than our hands. And so the key is, though, in Muay Thai, which is, I am a Muay Thai practitioner, okay? I'm a Muay Tiger. And the rules with Muay Thai are simply, you outbox a kicker, you outkick a boxer, but you have to be better at the other one in order to beat that other person. So this just relates to boxing and kicking, right? But if you are going to beat a kicker, you either need to be a better kicker than them, or you need to outbox their kicking abilities. Because if you just box, but your boxing is just mediocre and their kicking is freaking awesome, then that's not going to work for you. So I was really excited because I was like, ooh, great, I get to fight a kicker. In addition to that, I watched some clips from her in past fights, and I realized that she is a traditional Muay Thai fighter. And so I love that about Muay Thai, because you can stand in front of somebody, but what I mostly loved about the fact that she was a traditional Muay Thai practitioner is that she wasn't a brawler. She wasn't like, I've fought so many brawlers. She's fought some big girls too. I've seen it, you guys. She fought some big girls. I was like, oh shit, these girls are all up in weight. I had the feeling that she had the experience and the fight IQ to be willing to stand in front of me and display beautiful Muay Thai. I'm ready now in my professional career to just stand in front of somebody and technically fight. So there's a major difference between someone who is a brawler and just continuously going forward, and there's really no thought process into their technique or the strikes that they're throwing, versus if you watch people that won championship, these guys, they are methodical about the strikes. They are very, very intelligent when it comes to their fight IQ. And so typically you're not going to see someone just swinging crazy punches if they have a high fight IQ. And I really believe that over the years that this is the case. If I watch people spar or I watch people fight and it's just frantic bullshit all over the place, in my eyes, I see it is that person is fighting out of fear more than they are fighting out of being a technical fighter. And I really, really do believe this after so many years of fighting, that I don't want to look like that. Like, I don't want it to be a sloppy mess. I want it to be this beautiful, artistic, violent thing that happens that people are entertained with. And I get like aggressive fighter is different, I think, than a brawler that is fighting out of fear. And so it has been everything for me because I put so much into my training that I want to be able to show my art to the world. I want to show my technique and the beautiful art of what Muay Thai brings in martial arts. My gym, CSA, we are one of the top striking gyms in the United States, I would argue. And we are known for our technique and our striking. You don't just walk into CSA gym and think that you can just fight anybody. That's not the way it works. The hard sparring comes when you have a fight and you need to prepare for that level of impact. I can tell you now that a fighter that fights out of fear a lot of times needs to look around in their environment and see what their training looks like, because every time they go to show up for sparring and they feel like they're just going to get killed every single time, I tell you, this is not a great way to learn martial arts. It's not a great way to learn being defensive. There is a time for hard sparring and there is a time to work on keeping your eyes open and taking shots properly and all of these little things that will then give you the confidence to block things in real time and trust that your guard is where it needs to be to protect yourself, okay, you guys? And so at my gym, we don't like to just come in and beat people up. That's not it. Of course, we go at a level of intensity depending on the situation, but we're always looking to get better technically and not hurting our sparring partner. So let's talk about preparation and training regimen. So I told you guys before, we had about 8 weeks in this camp to prepare for this fight. And so one of the things that I have to do is increase my cardio, start eating good, right? All of these little things that I need to start preparing. We need to analyze our opponent and we need to see where the things are that we need to focus on training, because in 8 weeks you can get better, but not really. I don't think that you can really get a significantly amount better in 8 weeks than you can say 6-month period, right? So again, back to the little things. It's the little details that we start honing in on and crafting those things so that when we come prepared for fight day, those things are, those tools that we have put in a foundation for self are now refined to deal with the opponent that we are dealing with. Now, I will say, I will look at my opponent's tape 1-2 times at max, maybe 1 time, and then register what it is that I need to focus on or what it is that this person is good at, that I can start and my coaches can help me start implementing that in my sparring and my training, all of these things. My coach literally put together an 8-week program when we do our advanced striking that was catered almost to just me and my opponent. And it was a lot of kicks. It was a lot of defensive kicks. It was a lot of countering off the kicks. It was a lot of catching the kicks, a lot of stuff. Like, I have some dope ass dumps that I have in my older fights, in my amateur fights, that I don't really dump as much as I do, as much as I did before. I don't dump as much, and I should. So my coach puts together this 8-week program. And so he put me together with some of my training partners at my gym that are kick heavy or kick centric. And so we did a lot of drilling. I came in early on certain days and all we did was kick sparring. It was a whole fucking thing. I got kicked fucking a lot. You guys, I got kicked fucking a lot for this fight. I got kicked, I checked, I swept, I did all of these things. And I did them on an intense ass level. But I'll tell you guys, look at things in chunks. I don't really like, I like to ease into my training. A lot of people will get a fight and they'll be like, oh, gung-ho, and they just put everything into the first week. And in my opinion, that's how you burn out. There is a real thing to peaking for a fight. And the same thing, I believe, applies to real life. There is a real thing to peaking for life events that are happening and that are important to you. And so it's just like the book Atomic Habits. In that book, they tell you most people are not successful with building or cultivating a habit because they just shove everything down their throat all in one sitting, right? You shove it all down your throat, and by the second, third, fourth day, you've already given up, right? Because it's too much for you to handle. And so if I'm not running every single day, or I'm not eating healthy every single day, which I eat relatively healthy on a daily basis. I have cheat stuff, I drink boba. Who doesn't fucking love boba, okay? I have sweets, I have things just like a normal person, but I just don't overindulge in those things. So for me, my weight, I was walking around at 120 and we were fighting at 112. And so this over an 8-week period is fucking nothing. I didn't even need to really diet super hard. I use a nutritionist. Her name is Marcella. She is down in Costa Rica and she is absolutely amazing. One of my coaches, Coach Mao, and his wife Marcella, used to have a gym out in Thailand called Sutai. Both of them collectively have over 100 fights. They are badasses. And now Marcella is retired and she's a triathlete, but she's also a nutritionist and a very good one at that. So it's like every time I go into a fight, all right, we got to get serious. We need a meal plan. We need to know where our calories are, all of these things. And so then I start just slowly. Week 1, all right, I cut out the boba, but I cut out sweets, or I cut out some things that I just know are not healthy, and I food or single ingredient type of meals. And so I will start doing that on week 1, week 2, week 3, right? Call it, and just start being a little bit more conscious of what I put in my mouth. I start taking creatine, I start taking these other things because I'm building a little bit of muscle in order to get where I need to get. So in those weeks, and then I start running. So then I start running a little bit more. I'm not shoving everything down my throat at once, but I will do a long distance run and a sprint session at least once during the week. And now my sprint sessions, you guys, it's not just an ordinary fucking sprint session. I'm doing a full hour of lactic output, however you want to call it. I used a guy out at Team Alpha Male. His name is Amadeo. He put together a whole freaking running regimen for me that takes an hour, you guys. It's a full hour of sprinting and cardio. But you know what? When I do my cardio this way for my camps, there is nothing anybody can ever tell you about my cardio is not there, right? I feel so confident in my abilities after I'm done doing this, you guys, and it's freaking amazing actually. So basically this guy has me doing 4 sets of sprints, 28 seconds on, and then counting on a heart rate monitor to get back to my certain levels that he has me set at. And so of course a round of rest is 1 minute in a fight. So the idea is that you're raising your heart rate to the max capacity and then bringing it down to normalization, semi-normalization within a 1 minute period. So you're training your heart, you're training your body to take this max heart rate, max area of heart rate for yourself, and then get you back to normalization so that you can be ready for the next round. So it's 4 rounds of that, and then you have 8 minutes of just steady cardio where you're keeping it at one level, one range, and you're doing that for freaking 8 minutes. Then you go back to the sprints. So it's 4 cycles of that, all right? Crazy. I feel amazing after I do this throughout my fight camps. And so I started doing that. I'll do that once a week, and then as time goes on, I'll ramp that up 2 times a week or 3 times a week. I also do CrossFit. CrossFit has been amazing throughout the years. My coach, Jack Jess, is actually the wife of my striking coach, and she's freaking awesome. She's a former CrossFit competitor. She gets me where I need to get. Some people don't really like CrossFit. I love CrossFit. I used to hate CrossFit. My coach would be like, you need to do CrossFit 3-4 times a week, and I used to be the bane of my existence. So then one day out of the blue, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not gonna have this mindset of I hate CrossFit. It's making me stronger. I'm punching harder. I'm just going to embrace this fucking CrossFit. And I just changed my mentality. I was like, great, I'm gonna do this. I have to do this. This makes me better. All right, I like to do CrossFit. And so since then, I really enjoy doing CrossFit. It has made me stronger. What I have learned throughout the years though, is how to manage the intensity of the CrossFit. Because I think one of the things that I was doing, because because I'm such a competitor, I was maxing out everything. I was RXing this. I was trying to beat people's time and all of that. It's just in my natural instinct to want to do this. But then over the years, I'm realizing when I keep my ego out of it, when we take our egos out of the equation and realize, hey, this is not benefiting me the way in which I need it to, then we need to make adjustments. So I stopped doing that. I stopped focusing on the RX, only doing weights that were manageable, so that when I went over onto the fight side, I wasn't extremely sore, that I wasn't able to do my rotation, or I wasn't able to check a kick or do things because my body was just freaking demolished, right? So CrossFit is amazing. I do the CrossFit 2 times a week usually through the fight camp, and then I start tapering down. Usually when it's 2 weeks out or so, I eliminate the CrossFit and it's more just about the diet, because this stuff happens in evolutions. We have to know when to turn things on and turn things off, and that gets us to our peaking, you guys. We want to peak, and peaking is a real thing. So this is the other side of it, the training, the back behind the scenes, strength and conditioning, all of that stuff. Then there's the cross training. I have an amazing team. I have an amazing team of girls that I spar with that give me great work. However, because we're training partners, because we always work with each other and know how each other vibe, know their styles, all of this stuff, sometimes it's good to get out of your comfort zone and spar people that you don't necessarily spar every single day, or you don't really know what their styles are. And so it's really good to get out there, because there's a little bit of fear that goes into that when you show up at another gym and you're sparring people there, and it's like you're the outsider. So there's already nerves that are attached to that, right? And it's just an opportunity to allow us to work on those nerves, work on that fear that we have of sparring people that we don't know, keeping our calm, taking your reads in. All of these things are super, super important. So I went out to Smash Gyms, which is in San Jose. It's about 40 minutes away from where I am. Shout out Smash Gyms. You guys are amazing. Then I was going to San Mateo on Wednesdays, and San Mateo is about 45, 50 minutes away over the bridge in San Francisco. And I was going there for my boxing. So just pure boxing. Now, if you guys have never been to a boxing gym, it is very different from what I'm explaining at CSA. I told you when we spar, it's very technical. We're not trying to knock our partners out. At a boxing gym, you put on your motherfucking headgear. They wrap your hands. They put Vaseline on your face. They have coaches from different gyms on different corners of the ring cornering their fighters. It's a legitimate thing. 2 people in the ring at a time, and you're fucking fighting. And so it's a scary thing. It's a very different vibe than at CSA. It is a very, very different vibe. Boxers, shout out to you guys and your craft and everything like that, but I got some great rounds there, some hard rounds there, and I got better. It was great. I also went out to Team Alpha Male. My friend Corey is out there. She fights in the UFC. There's a girl, Tina, an up-and-coming fighter from Brazil, and she's fucking a dog. Got some rounds in with her. It was really cool. So I was all over the place. I was traveling and training 6 days a week. So it was a super, super intense camp. Let's talk about the mental preparation that went into this fight. Mentality is everything, you guys. Mentality is literally everything. In every single thing that we do, how we handle stress, how we solve problems, how we deal with other people. All of it boils down to what is your mentality? What is your outlook on life? Are you a person that when adversity faces you, you clam down, or you shut down and you let it take over your entire day or your entire mood or everything? Is huge for individuals and their ability to be successful. When I usually go through my fight camps, I usually go to a guy, his name is Rich, he is in England. He is the English hypnotist on Instagram. You guys can look him up. He is one of the original fighters to put Muay Thai on the map. He lives in England. Now he practices hypnotherapy. Fighters with athletes, just regular business people. And there is a real thing to meditation and hypnosis hypnotherapy. A lot of people, it's not like you go see a therapist and they let you just throw up on the floor and then you're left with trying to clean it up right after you leave. Nobody really feels good after they leave a therapist's office. Tell me, guide me. I want to know. You want to see results. You don't want to feel bad after you've left the therapist. So it's a very different experience. What I like to relate to hypnotherapy is deep meditation. It is attacking the subconscious mind and allowing your thoughts, whether it's manifestation, whether it's you're trying to remove negative thoughts from your subconscious mind, if it's the way you've been brought up as a child and changing those things and perspective on how you think, it's a rewiring of the brain. And so when I first found hypnotherapy, I thought it was fucking amazing. Though not everybody's receptive to hypnotherapy and having the ability to get into that deep meditating state, but I would encourage anybody that hasn't tried hypnotherapy to at least try it once in their life. He's amazing. There's a ton of hypnotherapists out there that you can check out, but Rich has just been referred to me by friends. We vibed really well, and a lot of the tools and the things that he has taught me throughout the years, I've taken into every single fight in a different way. Now, leading up to the fight, there was a lot of stuff going on with me personally. In my business, I was doing a transition. I had moved. There was a lot of things that were happening that were affecting me in my mental state. But I'm the kind of person that just pushes through things. Sometimes I cover it up and I'll deal with it later, and it's probably not the most healthiest thing, but I am a person that will continuously push forward even if things are not going well. So one of those things was affording hypnotherapy. It can be expensive to do therapy, recovery, all of these things, but I hadn't had the chance or the time to connect with Rich in this camp. And it was a little worrying to me because I'm like, gosh, I've always gone through this with him, but I realized there was a point where I realized you've already done this work. You've already done all this work, and this is why it's so important, you guys, again, to continuously be working on yourself, continuously be growing so that you have the tools that you need when the opportunity comes. That is the biggest thing. You have to continuously do the work, because in this scenario, I didn't really have the finances. I really didn't have the time to meet with Rich 1-2 times a week. But what I did have is the experience and the knowledge to learn how to do some of the exercises that we did in the past in this camp. And so it felt really great to try to do these things on my own and kind of self-medicate in a way throughout this camp. But it was enough for me to get through and work on my mentality as I was training through this training camp. But I will tell you, I was a fucking mess. So I was a mess. There was all shit going on in my life. I had all this stuff, money problems, stuff like that. And I had just started breaching the surface of getting out of this hole that I was in. And all of you probably can relate to that. Being able to pull yourself out of whatever hole that you're in because you need or you have a goal in front of you that you need to fulfill. So I encourage you that no matter what you're going through, be where your feet are, because a lot of times we miss things. We miss the opportunity to embrace the place that we're in, and time just does not stop for us, you guys. And so we have to be where our feet are. We have to enjoy the moment, as hard as it may sound. If you're going through financial troubles or you're going through physical trouble, anything like that, it's hard to go and just be where your feet are. So in my circumstances, I was like, you know what? This is what I have right now. These are where my cards are, and I'm gonna make the most out of it. I'm about to fight on this promotion with Scott Coker. This is a huge opportunity. So I just put my head down and I fucking grinded, you guys. You need to put your head down sometimes, and you just need to grind. My coach says to me, he makes this analogy when we're fighting, right? He says, sometimes you just need to bite down on your mouthpiece and go for it, right? You need to bite down on your mouthpiece and throw just a hard 1-2. And it's the same thing with life. Sometimes we just have to bite down on our mouthpiece and we have to go for it. No matter what it is in our life, whether it's a job change, whether it's this, whether it's leaving that person that's toxic for you, or if you need to take that jump into something, you need to sometimes just bite down on your mouthpiece and you need to go for it. That is the best advice that I think that I can give to people that have dreams or goals or things that they want to succeed in their life. Bite down on your mouthpiece and just go for it. Now we're going to talk about the behind the scenes and the day of the fight, which was absolutely a fucking shit show. It wasn't a shit show on behalf of the promotion. It was just anything that could be going on went on that day. So first, let me just start off by saying I really didn't cut any weight for this fight. I cut like 3 pounds. I used my nutritionist, followed her stuff, and I had a great water load, everything like that, and it was fine. And then the next day, my boyfriend and I were at the house, and he is, first of all, he's a UFC fighter. So he's been fighting for 18 years. And so he knows all about weight cuts. He knows exactly what you need to do. And I was like, I just want to cut weight in the morning. So he gets me up and in the morning and we cut weight in the house. And he got me up. Next thing you know, the heat is on full blast. So it's still kind of chilly here in the Bay Area around May. So he had the heater on. He had the freaking fireplace on. And then he like throws all my clothes on the bed and he's like, wrap up. We're going to cut this weight. And it was like 2 pounds, guys. But he's like, wrap up, put the Abilene on you. Let's go downstairs. He had like put everything, like sectioned the entire house off so that we had space in the living room. And literally we cut weight in the living room in that morning. It was actually crazy. He had like a mini pad session and he held pads for me. I broke off a sweat and it was great. It was fine. And then he was trying to continue this shenanigans for longer. And I was like, no, babe, I'm already at weight. I know I can feel the sweating. I'm out. He's like, no, just one more round. Like, let's just make sure. And I'm like, no, I'm already at weight. And then finally he's like, all right, I believe you. Take off your clothes, go weigh yourself. And then next thing you know, I'm on weight. And I'm like, I told you I was on weight, right? Basically, we're cutting weight. We have to get to the freaking venue, right? To go weigh in. We ended up getting there. I weighed in. It was amazing. I met my opponent. They were super nice, of course, because they're Canadian. All Canadians are nice. I don't know what's up with that, but everybody is very happy and they always say sorry. And if you've ever read that book, Girls Stop Apologizing, it reminds me of Canadian people because I want to be like, girls, stop apologizing for every single thing. They're just so nice and I bless their hearts. I know they can't help it, but Canadians are freaking awesome. You guys are cool. In my book, every Canadian I've met is super dope. So I meet her, we weigh in, it's all good. All right, now let me just start off by saying, I did not go to bed until about 2 in the morning the night before. I stayed up watching fucking Bridgerton on Netflix until 2 in the morning, even though I have to get in a ring and fight a girl tomorrow. It's actually kind of crazy, but neither here nor there. I got to sleep in because we didn't need to check in for the fight until 5 o'clock. So I get up the day for the fight. My boyfriend has made me a little food thing. We've packed all of our stuff. We have to get ready. And then we end up leaving the house. And then on the highway, they've got everything blocked off on the highway. It took us 45 minutes just to get out of my city onto the main highway so that we could go to San Jose. San Jose normally is like 30, 40 minutes away. It took us an hour and some change. So my dad flew in from St. Louis. Now, my dad, bless his heart, he has never seen me fight. This is the first time that he is here to see me fight at any point. My 8 years of training, and he brings my little sister, and she's 12 years old. So basically, they're at the hotel already in San Jose, and we're running a little bit behind because of the traffic and everything like that. And we finally get past all of this traffic, and my boyfriend is like zooming. He's like honking at people. He's like, it's fucking stressful. And I start to feel nerves a little bit. And throughout this entire process, I really haven't been nervous throughout this fight camp. I didn't feel the regular nerves that I felt in the past at all. There were moments of a little bit of anxiety, and then I just used some of my techniques and the things that I've learned over the years to calm myself down. But overall, there was no crazy nerves that were going on throughout this fight camp, which was worrisome. You should be worried to fight somebody in a ring. You should be worried that someone is trying to take your head off. And I really didn't feel that throughout this camp. But the car ride, I felt that. It was stressful. So basically, check into the hotel. I hadn't even checked in yet to the hotel where my dad and my sister are. We're supposed to pick them up, take them to the venue. So we're speeding. We end up getting there right at 4:26 p.m. Now, mind you, we have to be at the venue at 5 o'clock, you guys. If you're late for the check-in, they will fine you and take a part of your purse. So by this point, I'm freaking the fuck out. I'm freaking out. And then guess what the fuck happens? We pull up to the hotel, and next thing you know, my Tesla on the screen is like, check tires now. It's like blinking at us. I get out of the car as we pull up to the hotel, and the back rear tire is like, shh. This metal piece in my tire just shoved in there. And I'm like, what the fuck? What are we gonna do? I'm freaking the fuck out. I'm calling my dad. Where are you? You have to come downstairs. We end up like sitting there, and I'm like, I don't know what we're gonna do right now. I'm gonna be late. I'm stressed out. My boyfriend is like, go. I'll take care of it. Just get an Uber, you and your dad and your sister, and I'll take care of it. And he's like, please don't worry. I'll be there. Now he's cornering me too, guys. So his check-in time is about the same. He had a little bit more flexibility, but he was like, go babe, I got it. And I was like, oh my God. By this point, I'm freaking out. We get the Uber, we end up showing up on time, and it's all good. It's all good. We end up getting there, and I'm still not nervous. The feeling of like being at home, normally we're traveling at a hotel and there's been travel. And so this time it was a little different because we were at home. I was sleeping in my own bed. So it was a very different dynamic than what I'm usually used to. It's usually somewhere else or a different country or different state or whatever. And so it felt a little bit more at peace because I was at home, and that's what I told myself. But I get to the venue and I tell my coach everything that's happening, and then I pull him aside and I'm like, Coach, I don't feel nervous. I don't feel nervous right now. I feel like I'm going to be fighting somebody in a couple hours. And he was like, this could be a good thing or this could be a very bad thing. He's like, but we're going to find out. And I was like, that's comforting, Coach. And so I had to get over this feeling of like, why am I not nervous? Is this gonna be good? I could totally shit the bed right now, or this could be absolutely amazing. And so I went through that, and I when I got there, I grounded myself. I did a few things that I normally do, routine things to get me in the groove of things. I do this weird thing where I pace around in circles, and like my alter ego is a Black Panther, and her name is Lita. And this is a character that I have developed throughout the years through my hypnotherapy, and I have named her. And Lita is this just vicious Black Panther pet that I have, and I bring her into war with me, and she gets me into this state of violence and protection and all of these things that prepare me for battle when I'm going to step into the ring. So I basically had brought her out in this warm up, and I started stretching and I started doing things, and I felt really at peace. But again, I told my coach, I don't know what this is. Like, I don't know if I should feel good and comforting about this, or I should be really worried that I'm not nervous at this time. And it was really cool because everything started to fall into place after I got to the venue. The warm-up room that we had, it was an absolute vibe. Nate Diaz was there, Scrap Pack, right? They're from El Nino in San Francisco. Their team was there, and it was like a vibe. We had the Bay Area music going. Some of my teammates were fighting, and it was fucking cool. I got into the character, I got into the vibe. I started warming up with my coach, and I just cracking the pads, and I felt sharp, you guys. I felt really sharp. And one thing that was, if I could say anything that was a nervousness for me in this fight camp, is I didn't have one of my coaches. One of my coaches, Mao, he has definitely changed my game, right? I would say my primary coach, Kirian, has put these foundations in me. I literally had no martial arts experience 8-9 years ago, and my coach has built me from the ground up. I am his only homegrown fighter that literally didn't come from another gym, didn't have striking, didn't have anything, you guys. I literally cheerlead, played soccer, and did gymnastics growing up. I had nothing to do with martial arts whatsoever, and this guy has brought me to another level. In addition to that, my coach Mao has taken my technique and helped me develop my skill and develop my personality as a fighter. And it has been really cool to work with this guy. But he was in Costa Rica, and so he didn't get to come with me throughout my camp and help me train and push me. And so I was a little worried that I'd done everything that I needed to do. Coach Mao takes me past my limits. And sometimes we need that person, right? We need that person in our life that takes you beyond the limits that you believe that you have for yourself. It's really empowering when someone can show you that you can do far more than what you think. Our bodies and our minds are so powerful, you guys. We only use so much of our capacity at certain points until that one person comes into your life and shakes everything up and shows you that you can push past the boundaries in which you far believe that you had in yourself. And that's what Coach Mao has done for me. So I didn't have him this camp, and I was like, fuck, man, I hope I did enough. I pushed myself past these limits that I did. And I believe that, but you have your people around you. When you have a team around you, it's really great because every person puts and pours something different into you. So in real life, I encourage you, if you haven't built a team of people around you to help you be successful, you should. If there are people around you that you feel like you couldn't take advice from, or that lift you up or make you a better person, then you need to reevaluate those people in your life. I have, over the last 8 years, developed an amazing team of people around me. And so I encourage you to take a look at those people. Take a look at those people that are going to help you go to that next level. My coach Mao is one of those people. So it was kind of disheartening to know that he wasn't going to be there for me in this fight, but I know I had my coach Carrie, and I know I put in the work. I know I pushed myself in my sparring and in my cardio and everything like that. So I was prepared. So we get there, and I always say this thing to my coach, right? I always look at him when we're fighting, and I'm like, are we about to do this? And he looks at me like, yes, Des, we're about to do this. And I'm like, Coach, we're gonna do this. And it's a crazy thing that we do, and I don't know if it's like me flipping that switch on, but I looked at him like, are we about to? He wrapped my hands, and I looked at him and I'm like, are we about to do this? And he's like, yes, Des, we're about to do this again. And I was like, all right, let's go. And at that point, you guys, I still was not feeling like I was gonna fight this girl in 30 minutes. I didn't feel like that, which was crazy. We're waiting for our time slot. We're watching the fights go by, and I go outside. I'm like, told my teammate Gavin, I told him the same thing. I don't feel nervous. I don't feel it. He's like, let's go out in the open and see how you feel. We go out into the stadium, and there are fucking people everywhere. It's lights. It's crazy. It's filled in there. It's absolutely crazy. And I go out there, and all of a sudden I start feeling this anxiety. It wasn't a good feeling. I don't know what it was, but I was like scared. I was like, this is too much for me right now. And I was like, I gotta go. He stayed in there and said hi to everybody. And I was like, dude, I gotta go. And I like treated back to the warm-up room. So I'm like, yeah, coach, like, I don't want to do that. That didn't feel good. And he's like, oh, that's cool. We'll go out there. Let's just be our time. So then next up on deck. And that's when I'm like, oh shit. So I got my team with me. I got my coach with me. I got my boyfriend Gaston with me. And we go out into this area where there's a curtain, and behind the curtain, you walk into the stadium. And I'm behind that curtain, and he's like putting on my Hmong call. And it's this one right here, my Hmong call that I wear for every fight. I made that Hmong call actually, and I love it. We're just standing there pairing. They haven't called us to go in there. And then my boyfriend comes to me, and he looks at me, and he's like, you got this. I love you. And he's like, why not you? And I was like, fuck. I was like, yeah, why not me? I bust my ass. I trained so hard. I put in the work. I don't know what it was with him telling me that, but it just flipped on a fucking switch, you guys. I was like, why not me? And I'm here to tell you the same thing. Why not you? And I don't know what it was, but I just got amped up, you guys. I had my alter ego Lido with me. I just like hit myself a few times, and I was like, and I was like ready. I was ready to go in there. So then they pulled us right before the curtain, and I'm pacing around. You guys, and I'm like, we're about to fucking do this. I'm fucking laser focused. I got this. They opened the curtain, you guys, and I didn't see anybody. It was crazy. I literally was laser focused on that ring. I saw my teammates came up along the side to like dab me and like all yelling for me and everything. I didn't see one fucking person. I'm telling you right now, my girlfriend was like, I fucking was screaming your name, this and that. I didn't even see them. I did not see them. And it was crazy. I was in the fucking matrix, you guys. And when I tell you that was the coolest feeling that I've ever felt on that night, I will never forget it. And so I'm here to share that with you. I'm here to fucking give you that energy to tell you today, why not you? Because at any point in time, if you're doing those things that you need to do and you believe that you've put in the work and you've grinded, there is nothing that can stop you from doing the things that you want to do. And I absolutely peaked that day. I peaked that day on the most perfect level that anybody could peak. So here we are walking down this freaking path, and I'm about to get in the ring, and I'm laser focused. I literally saw everything that I needed to do. We got in the ring, we fought. I knocked this girl out. I caught her kick. I went southpaw, and I've been training southpaw, and I don't think that she recognized that I went southpaw and continued to kick me, and then kicked me in my front leg, and I scooped her leg, you guys, and pushed her and just whap, just kicked this girl in the face. My body did that. I was not even thinking it. That was so ingrained in me and in my training that I let it go, you guys, and whop, this Filipino foot slapped on that ass. It was crazy. And this is how we got where we needed to be. And my son was standing out there, and he was screaming, you guys. He was screaming. I cried afterwards. Like, my dad was out there. My sister was out there. The pressures that could have taken over me in that fight didn't take over me in the way that you think that they should have. And I'm so grateful for this experience. I'm so grateful for that. And I hope that you feel how I'm feeling right now on this screen. And even though this is something like fighting, we can apply these things to our every single day life. I will never forget that. And this is what life is all about. These unforgettable memories that we get to carry on. My child will always remember that day of me doing that in a stage in front of all the people and the bravery that it took and everything. And I will never forget that. And I'm so grateful. And that's why Muay Thai, mixed martial arts, is so amazing, because it brings us these unforgettable memories, whether they're good, whether they're bad. We get to carry on with these things for the rest of our lives. And I don't know about you guys, but when I'm 80 years old, I want to be able to tell stories. I want to be able to tell stories of love. I want to be able to tell stories of sorrow. I want to be able to tell stories just like what happened on May 18th in 2024 to my grandchildren, okay? That's what it's all about, man. It's about toughening up. That's what this whole series is going to be about, toughening up so that we can be better as human beings, so that we can fucking live really cool lives and have stories to tell everybody. Everybody is unique in their own way, and everybody else can create a path for themselves, a purpose, and for all of these things. And I am so grateful to be here. Thank you for watching this first episode, and stay tuned for the next.